15-minute timers.
The only other thing I could do is probably, if it's not accurate, reopen this monitor, put this shit over there, and then live stream what's on the right monitor.
Listen, I got a 50-inch monitor.
Like that's what's fucking showing at the moment. No clock, but it's not even live yet, so I don't know if you.
It's better than that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Countdown clock.
Yeah, but YouTube is not. See what Facebook's doing. That just popped up though.
I see. You need this screen to look at what this screen is showing.
Hold on, let me go Facebook.
So nothing's on there?
Oh.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, even if I maximize this, like, I'll still have this shit. And I just want to make sure that, like, when we're streaming it, if it is just screen mirroring it onto the display for, like, the stream, that it's not showing these boxes.
Nothing on Facebook.
Over 6 minutes, right?
Possibly.
Well, I mean, let's just go live in this.
But normally, that's why I'm currently live. It's just, normally we would at least see the countdown. If
Doesn't she need to be tracking the action then?
Well, there wouldn't be any action to track if we can't do anything right now, right?
We gotta get chip
So
counts.
just wait 6 minutes and then?
We gotta get chip counts
But,
again.
yeah, so we can wait 6 minutes, but what I'm saying is, like, when we go live on the live streams, we see this countdown.
Right.
And
Yeah, right now we don't. Right now,
We're
that's
not
what's
actually
popped up. It says live, but it's. Oh, there it is. Clock's up. So we're live.
Okay, so we're good.
They can hear us talk.
We're live. Yeah, hello.
Can you able to full screen that? I just want to make sure everything
It
looks.
looks good.
It's got that on there.
Yeah, see, that's what the issue is. So
Can you?
Pull that down.
the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to go to add a second screen, but hopefully it doesn't jack it up. System,
Can everyone see this on there?
Yeah, well, they can hear us, yeah.
displays,
Oh, that. They will be able to, I think, in a minute. We're behind on this.
changes, this.
See, my shit's lagging, too. Yeah, so this
Keep
one.
track of it. It's about, looks like 30 seconds.
That's 30 seconds behind.
That was where I was just at. Okay, so we're just there.
Yeah, but it won't let me go
No,
full.
you don't have to.
Okay.
I just want to see what happens right here when I do this.
So it's showing this screen.
Okay, so let me try this.
Drag that.
Hold on. No, it hasn't even got that far yet.
Well, I'd already moved the screen over though. I'd already moved this over.
No, this is on a 30, like, it's on a delay. This isn't live right now.
That's this screen, 100%. There's the icon.
Oh, yeah. I see
Yeah,
what
so
you're saying.
we'll give it a second, then we'll see when this moves.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because
Maybe
I'm
that
thinking-
has to be
I'm thinking
there,
this
so
has to be here.
that's right. That's what she's saying. I see what's
And
maybe.
then we move this here, and then you'll use this. You can do this here. Okay, so that moved there. Now here in a second, this should be full screen of the proper video. That's what she said.
Hello.
She said that. Okay, so that's that, and then we're gonna move this over here. We're good. 6 years.
3 minutes.
I want my $600 now.
No kidding. crossed.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about the week and a half delay of getting the stream up and running. Let us know if you can hear us. Thanks for joining us here at Club JAQK here on our Black Friday live stream.
We're live, baby.
We're playing a 1-2 no limit hold'em with a mandatory button straddle of either $5 or $10. If you can hear myself, let us know in the comments. Mitch, go ahead and
Check. We're back like we never left.
yeah. So if you can hear Mitch and I, please let us know in the comments. Let us know everything's working properly. We have been working tirelessly
There
to
we go.
get this up and running.
Throw down.
We
1165.
worked on it all week last week. Had
Yeah.
major issues. The guy from Australia needed to help us, so it took a while to get a hold of him.
He was down under.
He was down under,
If you know
and
what
we
I'm saying.
needed him up above
Yeah. And here.
and here to help us because
Because-
they had us confused with IT wizards, and we don't know what we're doing. So if you can hear us, just please let us know in the comments. Again, do apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you. Extremely disappointed that we weren't able to live stream the women's tournament last week. We had a
Yeah.
great turnout for the women's tournament.
Uh-huh.
We had plans to cancel the live stream that night and just broadcast the women's tournament, but unfortunately weren't unable to do that due to the live stream issues. But looks like we are back up and running, and we finally have cards in the air, ready to talk some poker.
Yeah, what we're playing tonight is a 1-2 no limit button straddle game. So they've all agreed to straddle the button. I believe it's 5 max to 10, maybe a little bit more. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
it's
15.
it'll be 5x would be the maximum straddle here. So anybody normally you can generally straddle for whatever you want, but here to keep it fair, we just do a 5x. So 5x maximum. So if we're playing 5-5, maximum straddle would be 25. If we're playing 1-2, maximum straddle would be 10.
Throwdown, we were very close to going home for the night. I'll just leave it at that.
I thought you guys just went home for the night. Yeah, we were absolutely really close to that. I got here at 4 o'clock, and I have been working nonstop trying to get this stream up and running. Was here last Friday from... Let's see, what time did I get here last Friday? The women's tournament started at noon, I believe. So I got here at like 11 a.m., and I didn't leave until 11 p.m. that night.
And couldn't get it figured out.
Basically 12 hours.
Jack Crystal, Aiden, you here? Aiden, where you at?
Aiden is not with us, but he might be in the room.
Are you?
Or
Yeah.
he might be in the chat. I don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, Jack. Who's this Aiden you speak of?
So we're a little short-handed tonight. Again, we had a full table originally, but the stream kind of got delayed a couple hours. Again, we did everything in our power to try to get this up and running. It took a little bit longer than expected. So unfortunately, some of our players did have to leave. We'll see if we can get those seats filled up.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys the chip stacks are updated, but they were playing a couple hours prior to the stream
Yes,
starting,
yes.
just so you all are aware. We don't know who's winning or losing at this particular point. We just know from this point going forward.
Yep.
But we'll probably be able to tell by who's gambling, who's not, and play a fun little Thanksgiving game of who's stuck and who's not. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving, by the way. How long this thing going to do sitting on? Like, yeah, I want to say they started about maybe 7:30, 8ish. They started playing. It was a full table to start. They were ready. We could not get the live stream figured out for the life of us.
So it looks like the live stream is still having some issues. We are going to get those worked out. As you can tell, we don't have any of our cards being displayed currently. We're going to try to get that worked out if we can. Again, we do apologize for the inconvenience. Our IT guy here is not in the house tonight. We've been trying to communicate over the phone, trying to get this up and running for you all. We wanted to get at least something on air So
We just
I'm
want
gonna-
to still say hey, regardless. You know?
yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see what I can do about maybe trying to get this card tracker back up and working. And again, do apologize for the inconvenience, but we've had to basically install, reinstall everything, delete, reinstall multiple times. Have tried basically everything we could just to get the sound and video. So I'm
We got
extremely
that.
satisfied that we were at least able to get the sound and the video
We got
up.
that,
But
baby.
again, we'll just be playing guessing games with you all if we can't see
Brandon
the cards.
Rogers, what's the max buy-in? I don't know what they agreed on to start the game, but any game here at Club Jack, you can match the big stack.
Yeah, so if I had to guess, I would say maybe 1 to 500 due to it being a straddle game.
Yeah.
But it could have also been a 1K entry. But some of these guys, I mean, unless they were just gambling super hard before we were able to get onto the live stream, it's possible that they had a higher buy-in.
Yeah.
Maybe they even started it higher and then dropped down the buy-in. Not sure.
Yeah, they might have started at 2.5. I think the original plan was 2.5 tonight, so they might have been playing 2.5 to start.
That would make sense, and then drop it down. Let me.
But from this point, it's matched the big stack.
Bitch, I'll leave you in control here for a minute. I'm gonna go see if I can figure out what's going on with these cards. I'll be back here in a moment.
All right, I'll just play. Let's guess some hands. I know that guy's got ace-8, so consider me a psychic.
You call dude, and then I'll talk to him out here.
Yeah, so we're having a little issue. Like I said, we lost. We don't have the person that used to do the stream here. We've got someone new back there. We were trying to figure everything out. So we are just trying to get up to speed. Got a lot of games. If you guys are wondering or contemplating on coming on out tonight, I think there's like six cash games going. A 1-2 PLO, I think they just started. 3 or 4 1-2 no limits, and 4-8 limit game, and then they've got the tournament also going on right now. So it was a packed house earlier. And if you were hungry, they did feed, and there's still some Texas Roadhouse left over.
No, so it looks like the action tracker. No, is it possible that it would be delayed on our end?
South ACR. Appreciate the hard work, guys. I will come check it out in person sometime soon. Thanks, brother. Or sister.
Seats, but no VPIP or any of the other information. Just
Oh, it's not. I see what you're saying.
So just the stack, just the names, just the seat. Everything else is not filled out. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say both. It looks correct. Yes. Yes. That is correct. Zero graphics. No cards, no graphics.
There's Dan the man sitting down with 1,000. That'll make the game good. Hopefully we will get to see his cards. See what these boys are in there battling with. So I think what you guys are seeing here is they are trying to update the chip counts correctly. And Stephen Davis, Dan's going to break the game or make the game. I couldn't think of a more accurate statement of what's about to happen.
us know. No, we're streaming it, but we just don't have any information. Yeah. Okay. So so we can do it for a little while, and then.
Yeah, we'll just talk. We are in the process of trying to get the cards, ladies and gents, but if not, we're going to old school style for a little bit. We will, if you guys are bored to tears and want us not to, let us know, but we will hang out for a little bit.
Yeah,
We've worked this hard.
Sorry about that. We're doing everything we can to try to get this up and running for y'all. We're basically communicating with IT, communicating with the developers of the software who are from Australia. So we're on a little bit different of a time schedule from them. As of right now, though, again, it looks like we're going to go a little bit old school, and we're going to play a guessing game, which would actually probably help improve us a little bit as well. But it looks like tonight we're going to go a little retro style. Unfortunately, again, I can't stress enough how sorry we are that we're not able to provide the product that you all want tonight. But rest assured, we are going to get this taken care of. Again, we're new to the game. We're trying to get everything done properly we can. We want to try to provide you all with the best poker experience possible. It's just unfortunately sometimes hiccups occur, and we're unable to get it corrected. This is something, again, that we've been working on for a solid week now. We were able to get most of it up and running for the longest. We weren't able to get video. We weren't able to get sound. Finally, we were able to get sound, but only 20% of the video. For some reason, 80% of the screen was blacked out. We were able to get that corrected. And at this point, again, we're just now just missing the graphics. So normally, of course, you would be able to see the graphics of the cards, of the flop, of the action, possible outs. We are just unable to get that up and popping for some reason. So again, do apologize for that, but thanks so much for hanging out with us, at least those who are dedicated to watching the action. We're going to go a little bit blind tonight. I'm not sure how long the stream's going to go. They advised us just to not even do it.
Look at those V-pips.
Yeah, so it looks like everybody's playing extremely tight. It's a very tight game.
Sorry.
So
they are by
let's take a look at some of these numbers here. So we got Xander up at 4.5K. I guess he won a nice little hand when I was gone.
I don't know. No, I don't. I think he had that to start.
Huh. Never seen him before.
Yeah, they all start at
a couple of guys here new to the game. And it looks like we actually got the cards up and running now.
Don't you tease us.
So let's keep our fingers crossed that this works. As we see here, Walter and the hijack. I will say some of the photos may be incorrect. Again, we had to completely reinstall the software, so we're kind of starting from scratch. So some of the photos might not be accurate or even show up at all. Again, these are things that we're going to get taken care of.
Don't you tease us with a good time. We had the 7-3 and the King 3 show up.
So hopefully everything's working right. Yeah, see, normally we would have our little feed at the bottom telling you all the important up-to-date information, tournaments coming up, promotions. Looks like we are missing that. But at least we got the graphics up. We'll make sure that it's accurate. See Rodney fold the 10 deuce offsuit. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, we might or might not get V-pips and winners and losers tonight, but we still will at least get to see the cards and the action.
So as of right now, it does look like the last hand registered as far as the winning percentage goes. V-pip doesn't look like it's updated. But again, that could just be something that's minor.
We'll see. You all will see as soon as we do. Xander check, sixes on the button. Let's call a poker hand, you know. That's all.
All good?
It's what?
As we see Roger here, going to go ahead and turn 3 of a kind with the king queen. He's going to slow play it though. He's going to let Xander think that his sixes are good on the button. But he's going to find out real quick once Roger calls that his sixes are no good.
There's at least 2 more in the deck, though.
So a good play by Roger here. It almost looks like he's on a draw.
Bad card for the sixes.
Yeah, so what we're going to see here is probably Roger check. I'd like to see a check here and then let Xander think that his sixes need to bluff. But it doesn't look like he's going to do that. It looks like Roger's going to go ahead and fire out a bet and get a snap fold. So I think that's why I'd like to see that check there.
Definitely.
Let your opponent try to bluff out. Because obviously with the queen there, I mean, unless you're against pocket jacks, you're most likely chopping if he does have the queen. But otherwise, your opponent's generally going to have a lot of king 10 combos, non-10 combos, some kind of draw there. Might be best just to check it. Because if you check the flop, check call the turn, your hand doesn't look very strong. But in all reality, you played it well. So not necessarily a slip up, but I think I'd like to let my opponent stab at it.
Are updating. We're getting there.
Okay, so it does look like here our VPIP is getting up to date. So it may have just been something as simple as just letting the system reboot and playing out a couple hands. Again, I don't know how long our live stream is going to go tonight. Typically, we're only live streaming till about 12 a.m. I don't know if that's still the plan tonight, but we'll make sure that y'all get the most up-to-date information.
Rodney with the best hand right now. 2 4s. And hello.
And hello 4. I was going to say, on the 4s, you kind of like your hand. On the turn, you love your hand. And I love just the call here. Try to let your opponent, if you think he's on a club draw, catch up on the river.
Yeah,
and the last thing Xander wants to see is a club. Didn't hit it. He does have a blocker.
Yeah, he ain't got a bet up.
But most likely, this is probably just going to go check, bet, fold. Unless Xander wants to try to pull out a crazy move.
Yeah,
but no.
Xander folds a lot more than his hat there. His hat does not fold it. I don't know what that was. I don't know what I meant right by that. Like Dan's got a folded hat, Xander doesn't. That's what I mean. His bill. Come on, guys. You know. Eric Brinkhoff. First time checking out the stream. Well, you picked a good one, Eric.
Yeah.
Sorry. Very passive. Well, this is. You got to understand the situation tonight. They have been playing way before the stream. Then they had to stop, get chip counts. There was a kind of a delay because we were having issues with the actual stream. So people just kind of we don't know who's winning. We don't know who's losing. But this is only 5 hands in, bud.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we missed out on a ton of action so far just because of our delay. There's a lot of money on the table for just a 1-2 mandatory straddle game.
Yeah, there's.
So unless they bought in big,
here.
they were
There's
gambling.
7,072 plus 17 is 9,000. There's over 10 grand on the table. So I expect some pots. And I think I think Tom said, I think we missed some.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of because the amount of money that's on the table right now, unless they switch the game, but if they switch the game, typically they would allow them to leave the chips on the table.
Oh, here's a passive flop for you.
Yeah, great flop here.
Oh my, Xander, the cut shot straight flush draw, open ended for Rodney and Dan always loves top pairs.
So Danny in position with the king. It's going to be tough for him to get out of that spot. I like the bet of the 25. Go ahead and kind of find out where you're at with your kings. If I'm Rodney here,
I'll be raising her up. Oh, no, Rodney, I'm just calling. I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
raising
Rodney's
7
just
into
going to
spades.
call, and he's going to go
That's
ahead.
a good card for
yeah,
Dan to keep going.
Yeah. So now Dan's got the open-ended. Rodney turned the nuts,
Oh, he sure did. He
and
checked it
Xander's
back.
still got the same hand.
Oh, brutal river there for Rodney. Kind of. It's
Yeah.
gonna hurt his action. He needed a king, ace, river. Good action flop there. Eric Brinkoff. Okay, I'll keep watching that, a baby. That a baby, Eric. Throw down 1165. Why only 1-2? Well, it's 1-2 winner straddle, so it's most I think are straddle in 10, but at least 5, so it's basically a 2-5 game.
And
and-
honestly, the main reason that it's 1-2 tonight is because originally the 5-5 game was planned, and it got severely delayed. We weren't sure if the stream was going to get going tonight, just because of the issues that we had. So the 5-5 players were put on notice that it may be delayed an hour or two, and then by the time we were able to get it up and running, they just weren't able to get that player pool back for the 5-5 game, so they decided to offer a 1-2 mandatory, which is a much smaller game, relatively speaking, and it's easier to get a full table now at the 1-2 mandatory than it was to get a 5-5 mandatory going.
Yeah, and believe it or not, we were talking last week about in the future, maybe not on a weekend, but on maybe a weeknight, they might do a 1-2 live stream because there's a lot of 1-2 players out there that want to play on a live stream as well. Can't afford the 5-5.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
so
It doesn't sound like much of a difference when you're playing 1-2 mandatory compared to a 5-5 mandatory, but if you start doing the math, even on a mandatory straddle with a maximum straddle of $10, you're still only looking at $13 in the pot in that game. But in a 5-5 mandatory, where the mandatory straddle maximum is $25, now all of a sudden you're looking at $35 in the pot. So, typically if somebody, let's say, maximum straddles in a 1-2 game, it's $10. Somebody might make a standard open raise to 30, right? So it's not too bad. But when you start getting into the 5-5 mandatory where people are straddling for $20, $25, now all of a sudden that 3x becomes 75 minimum. So it's just much, much more action. And they've already announced that they'd be more than willing to do some certain things for players if that's what they want. So if you want a 1-2 game with no straddle, as long as there's a field for it, they'll stream it. And they even offered to stream a limit game. So as long as you're interested, just give us a shout here at Club JAQK, and they'll be more than interested in helping you getting that stream set up.
yeah, and throwdown as well. I mean, this is a very common game that plays in casinos, a 1-2 winner straddle
Oh,
game.
yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
not anywhere you play. These games are. Some viewers, it may seem small, but some viewers like to watch the game and stakes that they actually play.
Yeah,
in.
absolutely.
So it's
Because I'll tell you
I'm all
now,
for it.
just from dealing some of the higher stakes games, cash games out there, the gameplay in a 1-2 no limit hold'em game is going to be much, much different than a 5-5. And you're just going to see certain plays, certain game theories come out that just wouldn't apply into the lower stakes game, and vice versa. Some of the strategies in a 1-2 game might not necessarily work in a 5-5 game. So we're not trying to cater to the highest rollers here in the Louisville, Kentucky area. We want everybody just to be able to play poker and have a good time. And if you are unable to play in a higher stake stream game, give us a shout and we'll get a smaller one, just like how this one's going. As long as there's a field wanting to play, some players, we'll get you in there.
I'm just asking because of stack sizes, no other reason. You would think the players would want to bump it up to. Well, again, I think they were playing 2-5 or 5-5 earlier or something, so maybe that's how some of these stacks got pumped up.
Yeah.
And then again, this late of the night, they were still trying to get the stream up and running for you guys, so they decided to make it 1-2-5 to attract some more of the players that were in the room.
Yep. As we see Roger here,
And they still
turn
might
the
pump it
gut
up.
shot straight flush draw, looking for that miracle 8 of clubs. Doesn't
been-
get it.
But still the flush.
Yeah, he's just not going to get any money here. Mike's the only one left with queen high. And you don't get the name Tight Mike by calling with queen 6. Looks like he was just there in the straddle for 10, and it just checked around to him.
Captain Furley, you're right. 7 people are not seeing a flop in 5 high or 5-10 game.
That's correct.
By the way, yeah. The main difference is there's just way more limping.
Yes.
In one
Yes.
2 no limit, as opposed to almost always you're getting brought in for a raise.
Yeah,
in
in a
2-5 and 5
standard
or 5.
higher stakes game, you're always going to see the almost standard 2.5, 3x open. 1-2 is going to see a lot of community flops. A lot of people just trying to limp in there for their $2, $5, whatever it may be.
And, that's one of my golden rules in the 1-2 streets is don't go broke in a limp pot.
No.
So don't be putting all your money in, even though you make the second nuts when, like, all of a sudden, it was a limp pot for $2 and
Yeah.
it's just stacks and stacks and stacks go in. Like,
Yeah,
you just because they
everybody's
could have
gonna-
anything.
everybody's going to be in there. I mean, I was playing some with a 1-2 earlier while I had a moment while we were waiting for some updates to take place, and the type of hands that these people were limping in with were just unfathomable. There would be a raise, a re-raise, and these people are still limping in there with the queen 5s, the king 6s. You just typically don't see those kind of plays. And
Walter outflops the ace king here with the king jack.
yeah, so pre-flop we had Rodney raise it up to I believe about $27 pre-flop. Got a bunch of calls. Danny getting a little bit liberal with the 2-4 suited, trying to hit a miracle. Walter, as you said, outflops them all and is going to go ahead and take the betting lead.
Lord.
Yeah, he's going to hate seeing that card, especially with Rodney hitting the 3-outer on him. Danny doesn't care. His hand doesn't change any kind of equity. So we're going to see the 10 fill up. So only king, queen gets there, queen 8, 7-8, which are all possible hands. But Rodney with his
king queen.
Yeah, his blocker to the nut straight is going to go ahead and take it out. I just don't know if Walter can make this call. I know he's got the king blocker to the nut straight, but most times your opponent's just going to have that ace, some kind of backdoor draw, possibly ace 10 of diamonds would make sense, would continue on that board, but looks like Walter is going to
he's gonna call
it and get the bad news. Buddy. Yeah, that he got 3-outed after he 3-outed. So
turnabout's fair play.
A lot of 3-out in action going here.
Captain Furley, I'll get right after this and I'll show you the stack sizes.
Yeah. So we do have the accurate chip stacks. However, the VPIPs, the wins, and all of that other information that we have is not going to be accurate because we're based on only showing, I think we're only on like 10 hands right now or something like that.
Yeah. Well, this is accurate from this point.
From our live point. But from the gaming point,
from the actual game, we don't
know. So
we don't know who's V-pipping. We don't know.
But that doesn't really matter. We'll just act like the game started when we started streaming, and then that's what it's sitting at right now.
Ouch, says Eric. Yeah, ouch indeed.
Yeah,
ouch
Eric, that's yeah, poor Walter there. You're feeling pretty good, and then the ace king with the backdoor draws just gets a little bit sticky and hits the miracle 3-outer that he.
Was that too passive for you there, Eric? You called 175 with second pair.
Yeah, and multiple straights out there, so that's a pretty loose call. But he was just thinking that his opponent had the 2 overs, which he did. It just unfortunately hit one.
Yeesh, 4.4K in a 1-2 game. Yeah, no kidding. What's the biggest stack I've ever had in a 1-2 game? I think it was.
Most I've seen was like 20,000.
No, I definitely.
It was at Golden Nugget downtown. They had a 1-2 no limit
cap,
with no cap.
Yeah, so someone probably bought in for it.
Dude sat in with 20,000.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a guy that used to always do that down there. But no, I've beaten 1-2 on 2 separate occasions for like 3,600.
I don't think I've ever gotten that up that much.
but I was in for 600.
Also haven't played that much in cash.
I was in a game one time at Hollywood Casino in Indiana before the Cincinnati opened. I was in a 1-3 game, I think for $2,400. It was, and you could only buy in for $300 at a time, and bought back in and got it all back and won like $1,400. The game, I mean, obviously the game was playing much bigger than a 1-3.
Yeah,
But it
that's
was
crazy.
unreal. It was the craziest comeback I've ever had in those kind of games. There was a derby game at the boat years and years ago where I bought in for 300, went and broke my first hand, bought back in for 300, and I got in at the game at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I was done by the derby race at like 6 o'clock at night, 6:30 or whatever, and I was up over $4,000.
Nice.
The game
Yeah, I
was
remember
unbelievable.
dealing on the Derby over at the casino, and it was a lot of action.
Yeah, it was such a good time to play.
Which is rare because most of the action doesn't go to the poker room. You're probably going to see them at the craps table, blackjack.
Back in the day, though, we used
As I see here, Walter flopping the Nutter Butters,
almost
but
a royal.
unfortunately, really only Rodney can give him some action. But we're going to see Xandar. I don't know if you prefer Xander or Xandar. I'm going to
He's
say
going to prefer to
Xandar.
take that $30 back. Is what he's going to prefer.
Yeah, he's going to realize that $30 was a mistake. However, I just see Walter calling here because there's really not much reason to raise. You might want to keep your opponent's bluffs in there. We'll see what this turn is. It's another spade. So Walter actually loves this card because he's hoping that his opponent has the queen of spades, something of that nature.
I think Xander has given up, and Walter only has $100 in front of him.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
it looks like, he's got about 2 shy of a hundo. So Walter is going to try to figure out a value bet here with only $100 in front of him.
You know what I would have bet? $5
Yeah,
just to see if he'd bite and raise.
yeah.
Just
And
one
that
of
would
those-
actually probably be your best play.
Yeah, I mean, or check it.
Check or bet incredibly small because when you make bets like that with your stack sizing, it's just so polarizing. You're just going to find yourself not getting paid off very often, especially when you have the nuts like that on a 4-liner. And typically if your opponent has 2 pair there, he's not going to pay it off on a 4-spade board.
Eric Brinkhoff, how often do you guys stream No Limit Hold'em? From previous videos, it looks like mostly PLO, right? No, No Limit is usually Fridays, Saturdays, PLO, Sundays.
Yes. So 66% of our streams are No Limit Hold'em.
Look at this little mathematician.
Sorry.
No,
Well,
that's
technically
beautiful.
it was 66.666666, but I wasn't trying to get too technical here.
Correct.
We're going to see some action here with Sebastian with the ace-king suited going against Tight Mike's ace-3 suited.
He just called with the ace-king.
Yeah, neither player's really going to love that flop, but Sebastian shouldn't feel too bad.
Yeah.
We'll see how Mike plays this hand.
No pair for Sebastian here. It's hard to make a pair.
Yeah. 5 changes nothing. So this is a spot here where if my opponent showed aggression pre-flop and is now shutting down, it should signal to Mike that he does not have a jack.
Choppy-poo.
And especially if he goes 3 straight checks here. Yeah, so Mike's probably just going to go ahead and take a showdown value with the ace, and they're going to chop that up. But just note to self, when your opponent raises from early position such as he did, and then just proceeds to check it 3 times. A majority of the time, I don't know what the exact number would be, I'd just be spitballing here, but 70, 80% of the time, they're going to show you ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, ace-10. Well, not ace-jack because there's 2 jacks out there, but something of that nature. Because otherwise, most pairs are even going to feel they're good and want to get a little bit of protection right there. So I'd like to see Mike get a little crazy, try to take a stab at it.
I don't think it would have worked, but that's because the
possible.
other dude was under-repped.
It's possible.
Well, it is possible. It's definitely possible, but
I just want to see the action. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for visiting us here again at Club JAQK Poker. We're offering our 1-2 No Limit Hold'em mandatory cash game stream tonight. If you'd like to visit us or check us out, we're at 165 Outer Loop, 40214. You can visit us on clubjackpoker.net or any of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all those. And you can also find us on pokeratlas.com or the Poker Atlas app. If you could, get on there, leave us a review, tell us what you thought of the place. That way we can take that constructive criticism and make your poker experience as good as possible. Got a couple of announcements here. We'll play out the hand, but got the Card Player Poker Tour coming up. Got the Club Jack Poker League. All sorts of exciting stuff coming up, but let's take a look at this hand and then we'll go over that. So it does look like we were able to get some of the photos accurate. See AJ's pictures in there.
Look at that mug.
Danny's pictures in there.
Excuse me. Well, we got a little open-ended, no gut shot for.
Yeah, we got a flush draw here for tight Mike, so we'll see how he does that. Looks like he's going to take the aggressive approach and go ahead and stab at it.
I think he raised it pre-flop too, so he gets to represent the ace.
Yeah, it's a good spot to represent the ace. Plus, it's actually not a bad idea to find out where your little baby flush draw is. Because the last thing you want to do is have the flush draw and then have to call 100 or, call more than that. You can reevaluate once you raise.
That's how you play a flush draw, baby. You just win. Captain Furley, a couple weeks ago, I threw out a bet against Dan B for $25, and he raised to $250. And us both, thought I was value betting. It was a silly bet because I have a history against Dan. He is never going to call 25. He is either raising or folding. You both went over the hand and thought maybe Dan was representing Queen Jack of Spades, but I was holding the Queen of Spades. If you recall the hand 2 weeks ago, was Dan bluffing you?
I don't know if I remember that hand.
I kind of vaguely remember it.
Now, I will say one thing. There has been issues with the cards, so I don't know if it was something that showed up that we had an error, because sometimes it'll show players' cards be inaccurate. So I don't know if maybe we just misread it or if we're just idiots. It's probably one of them.
And if we don't know you have history with Dan, there might have been a complete reason for you to do your bet that you were doing. I
don't know you and I don't know Dan. So a lot of these other guys I'm familiar with.
Rodney, the two queens, I know them.
Rodney,
ladies.
bump it up here. AJ's never folding. Played a little bit with him in the free roll. He seems to like to call and raise everything. So let's see this flop here. It's the 5.
You had trip aces. He was bluffing. Did you pick his bluff off, or did he? Or did you fold? It's starting to come back to me, though, now that you're mentioning it. I don't remember the outcome, but I do remember thinking you went super small because...
is he the one that had the pocket aces?
He had trip aces, and he was bluff...
but what I'm saying
But I'm saying I do remember the hand a little bit. I just remember that we thought he was betting 25 because that's all Dan would call. So you bet the 25 hoping Dan would raise it, and he did raise it. So did you pick it off? Like snap call, pick it off?
I have trouble remembering what I did earlier today. So
I vaguely remember. I don't remember the outcome.
If this is the hand I'm thinking of, it's where he had pocket aces and there was an ace on the board, right?
I don't remember all that. I just remember the bet. I do remember the bet, a little bit of the breakdown. I think there was either 2 aces out there but a flush came in, I think.
I'd have to see it.
Doesn't matter what happened. I mean, the point is what you're telling us is, you bet the 25 hoping to get raised because Dan is never calling 25. He's either folding or raising you, so you should have been snap calling with 3 aces if that's the case, correct? I called, but had to think about it because Queen Jack Spades even crossed my mind. But then I looked and had the Queen of Spades. No, I had Ace Queen. I never get Ace.
Okay, so if you could,
good call.
I do like that. If you got a moment, just hop on YouTube and then find that video and then just share the the time point, and then we can kind of go back. Because honestly, when I'm sitting here just evaluating hand after hand after hand for week after week, they just start to blend together.
We're all in here, boys and gals.
Yeah, so it looks like Rodney here is got the King Jack suited, Danny with the 8s, and Walter with the 9s. Of course, Walter extremely short stacked. Looks like Danny Jack here has got a little bit left over. So we're going to go see this flop.
Jack 4-4.
Rodney's Jack is going to take that lead.
It sure is. Rodney's poor Walter here. He's got King Jack suit. It was in good shape against 2 under pairs.
Yeah, for sure. So unless Walter can hit this miracle 9,
They can run it once it is, and he just
does
improves.
not hit it. The 20-1 dog is extremely difficult to hit. And I told Walter I wouldn't go hard at him tonight. He didn't want me to insult his play. I am not going to do that. You played it solid, my man. It's just unfortunately you put your money in a spot where your opponent had 2 overs. Very small chance to hit them, but they did in fact hit. So
You had the other guy crushed.
well played, Walter. You had the lead when you got your money in good. And note to self, whenever you all are playing poker, the best way to play is to go all in when you have the best hand. Don't try to get crazy and put your hand all in with draws. If you want to know how to play smart poker, put a majority of your stack in when you have the best hand, like my man just did there, and keep your fingers crossed that it holds up.
But try to make sure you really, really have the best hands.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to play snug and only get all in when you have quads, but the game of poker is a mathematical game, so the winning players just have figured out a way to and you don't always have to have the best hand, for example, right? So let's say you're up against pocket aces and you have the 6, 7 of spades, and the flop comes, deuce, 3, 4 with 2 spades. So now you're open-ended. You've got the flush draw. You've got the potential backdoor 2 pairs. So that's not a terrible spot. That's, typically going to be, well, that's really actually closer to 60-40, 55-45 spot. So not a terrible spot, but again, you always want to make sure that you're as high of a percentage as possible when you put the money in, and just keep your fingers crossed, because that's where the luck comes in. The luck comes in when your opponents need to hit cards, and you're just hoping that they don't.
Yep, there's certain situations you can't avoid. You get it in with 2
True.
queens versus ace king.
Absolutely.
And,
That's the toughest part about poker.
but you can avoid some of those situations. I've
Yes.
played, for a living for 15 years, and I try and wait for 70-30 or better spots to start really pushing the action. But
So here's an interesting spot here. We have a fold around to AJ who limps in. We have tight Mike racing it up with the ace-5 offsuit in the cutoff, and Roger decides to take a passive approach and just call with the 10s. Really disguised his hand there pre-flop. So we're going to go to this turn here, even though Mike with the 5s is going to check and get an immediate check behind. Now, a lot of the times this is going to look like either a 5 or 2 over cards. So I think what's going to go here is, it looks like he's just going to bet incredibly small. And I think Mike's going to pay this off.
disgustingly, but yes. Captain Furley says, I was hoping to talk to you guys after the stream, but it just didn't work out. Well, next time, buddy. Next time for sure.
We're here. Just holler at us. We ain't got nowhere. Yeah, so as I thought, Mike's just, it's only $20.
Okay, it's a good bet.
He got paid.
That's $20. Can get you a meal at Qdoba.
Small meal.
Correct.
No extras. I'm trying to go to Qdoba. I haven't had Qdoba in a while.
They were slacking on their macking for a little bit, but I will say the last couple of times I've been, they've kind of redeemed
good.
themselves a little
bit.
They used to be open 24 hours on Bargetown Road, and
I do remember that.
they had breakfast on Saturdays.
When was the last time they did that? COVID?
Before COVID. COVID ruined it all. Piece of crap. Stupid COVID.
Yeah, COVID ruined my life.
COVID's,
Ruined it.
keep my mouth shut on that.
So it looks like Rodney. I'd like to see a raise here from Rodney. I'd like to see him bump it up to about 25-30, but he's going to just call. Sebastian, again, same spot. I'd like to go ahead and start building that pot. Get some of these weaker hands to fold behind you. Like we see Danny Jack there with the 9-10 offsuit. Normally he'd like to play that. AJ
Danny's
with
on
the
his best
threes.
behavior right now.
Yeah. Go ahead and charged up. And it looks like here it's going to call all the way back around to Rodney with Queen 10 suited, who's going to call. So we're going to go to this flop 4 ways.
Sander with ace-6 on the button.
Yeah, so we got 2 clubs here. Rodney with the flush draw. Nobody else has really got anything.
Sebastian.
Sebastian's going to maintain his aggression. AJ, hoping to hit miracles. Gets in there with the 3s. Now, this is going to be an interesting spot here for Rodney because he's got the 2 overs. He's got the flush draw.
Crazy daisy. I like it.
And he's going to go ahead and raise it up. Now, of course, I can see these cards, but typically speaking, this hand is basically face up. You just called pre-flop. It got raised. You just called again. You're under the gun, essentially, from the straddle. Does he have any 4s in his range? Probably not. Does he have any 8s in his range? Probably pocket 8s. But would you go ahead and put it 200 right here with out of position with that? Because I'd normally, if I had a monster, if I flopped a full house, I think I'm just going to call, build up that pot a little bit. So to me, this kind of feels more of like exactly what it is. Probably a flush draw, 2 overs. It's possible he could have slow played 9s or 10s or something.
I'd rather have that hand than 2 9s.
Well, for sure. And I don't blame the raise, but I'd also like to see him build up that pot a little bit. If we're going to be playing out of position, we don't want to just start calling pre-flop.
No,
you know,
he played it perfect. That's 2 flush draws in a row. We've seen them play the draw aggressive and win the pot. They don't even have to make the flush.
Yeah, and Hold'em, it's just so hard to hit a hand. Again, you know, of all of the players that were in that hand, which of them had a 4 in their possible range? Generally, only the people that are in later position. The limper under the gun, and then the original raiser, Sebastian, who bumped it up to 30. They're typically going to have some overpairs and some high cards, maybe some flush draws. So we're going to see the 2 jack board. Nobody's got anything. We're going to see who has the most heart here. Looks like we're going to check it around. We're going to go ahead and see that deuce on the turn. Rodney now has the gut shot looking for the 4. Ace high could still be good in his eyes as we see the 8 on the river. So Rodney with the best hand, even though he's not going to know it. Looks like we're just going to check it around. He's going to go ahead and scoop that little baby pot.
Captain Furley says 4-5 suit. It makes sense. Sure, it's possible.
4-5 suited does make sense, but again, if you're going to be in the position where you're just calling with 4-5 suited out of position and then it's raised, so you're not only calling a straddle, you're playing extremely passive, calling the straddle out of position in the worst position. Now your opponent's raised and you're just calling again. I mean, at this point, I mean, you could have 4-5 suited, but playing 4-5 suited that passively is going to make you an extreme loser in the long run because you have to hit specifically what you need in order to show profit. Now,
I will say he is deep enough to be playing that passively, though.
No, I can definitely understand that. But again,
it's a 1-2 game.
You're just dumping off money if you just constantly make those plays. That's why I said I'd like to see him race it up there because, again, your opponents can't see your cards. So when there's a straddle and you're in the small blind, essentially under the gun from the straddle, and you raise it up there, your opponents are immediately going to think in their mind, okay, so my opponent is under the gun, first to act, and he's raising. They're going to immediately put you on a much stronger range. But when you have hands like that, again, I mean, you could have the 4, but it's just, I think you're lighting money on fire. The majority of the times that you're going to hit specific, it's very slim to none. But he won the pot anyway, so it's not like any of that matters. Now, while we do have a minute in between hands, I do want to go ahead and give y'all some information that we got coming up. Starting in January, it's going to be January the 8th at 7 p.m. We're going to be having the Club Jack Poker League. It's going to be $160 per week, a maximum of 36 entries. These are all going to be freeze outs. This is a World Series of Poker league, so essentially we're going to be giving away 2 12K World Series packages, seats to the circuit event when it returns to the Caesars Southern Indiana, as well as seats to the 200K that's going to be offered in February. If you'd like any more information on this, you can visit us on clubjackpoker.net or on our Facebook page. Again, it's going to be capped at 36 entries, so first come, first serve. If you want to get into that, go ahead and get there. I'll take a brief moment here so we can finish this hand before I bring up the 200K.
It's over.
It's over, so the king's just going to go ahead and take it down. All right, yeah, and then to conclude our tournament series in February, it's going to be the 16th through the 25th. We're going to be offering the Card Player Poker Tour. It's going to be a $200,000 guarantee. It's going to be the largest Kentucky tournament series of all time. Nothing is ever going to compare to this than what we've had previously, because obviously we had nothing outside of charitable games. But that's going to be a $600 buy-in. You start with $30,000 in chips, 30-minute levels, trophy to the winner. Again, it's going to have 6 different starting days. The first starting day is going to be day 1A. It's February 16th. It's a Friday at 4 p.m. Followed by the last day, which is 1F. That is Saturday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Again, Card Player Poker Tour, $200,000 guarantee, $600 buy-in, February 16th through the 25th. For any information or you want to find out anything else about this, just visit us on clubjackpoker.net or our Facebook page or any of our other platforms. So this flop, everybody's got a piece for except for poor Rodney. Rodney is going to get out of there with this little bit of 4% equity. But what we see here is Xandar with a nice 60% equity, and then everybody else just trying to hit their miracle dangler. So Sebastian's going to be looking for his 4. Danny's going to be looking for his 4, which is no good. We see the king on the turn, but it is a heart. So Xandar does improve his equity, but Sebastian now is going to have a sneaky ace of hearts. And this is going to be interesting to see what he does, because I just don't know if he's going to have enough, either him or Danny Jack. Of course,
he's going. Sebastian's going for it.
yeah, it looks like he's just going to take his stab, and he is going to be praying that he hits a heart. Because with Xandar sitting on 4,200,
Why do you
top
call
2
this
pair.
man Xandar?
I don't know what it is.
It's got to be Xander.
I
think Xandar would be DAR. But I like it.
Well, I've been watching a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they there's a planet called Xandar.
That's it.
So
I knew there was a reason.
I don't know if it's spelt the same way, but
No way.
I don't like.
What is it? The planet of Xandar?
I think it's
Z.
I think they're like Xandarians, is what they call them. But I think it's pronounced or spelt with a Z. It's like Xandar or something.
Oh, I'm sure. Xandar.
Sorry, that was a straight nerd here.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, so it is
Xandar.
Okay, so it was spelled with an X?
Yeah, it is with an X. You're close.
They pronounce it Xandar. I'm sure his name is probably Xander, but I'm not going to call him that. He is now Xandar. If he doesn't like it, he can come holler at me.
Has he called with the Ace King?
No,
yet?
he's
Oh my
setting
God.
up an
He folded it.
incredibly, I don't want to say nitty, but you have to be putting your opponent specifically on hearts. With that kind of a chip stack, I'm sorry, man, but I'm not drawing dead. I know you don't have aces.
Well,
You could have hearts, but
you can call him whatever you want now with that
I'm
kind
not
of fold.
I'm not folding.
Xander would have never folded that. Xandar folded it.
Well, sorry, Xandar, but you got to make that call, my man. I know you've probably put your opponent on hearts, but it's not necessarily likely. But I'm in the booth commentating. You're in the game playing. You just have to think of the different combinations that your opponent can potentially have. I feel like with the raise in that spot, it's very easy for your opponent to not only have the ace, but the ace of hearts, and then just be shipping it on the turn thinking that he is never drawing dead. I know it's an extremely tough call with 2 pair looking at hearts out there, but sometimes you got to make the tough call. See here, John Robertson. Man, I wish I lived closer. I'd play in the league. 2-hour drive every Monday for 10 weeks seems like a lot of work. Eric Brinkoff, he had outs against flushes as well. That's what I was saying, Eric. But John, yeah, that is kind of the downside of the Club Jack Poker League that they're setting up. Actually, I'll get with you here in a moment as we see an exciting hand here. We got the backdoor flush draw, gut shot straight for Sebastian. And Danny Jack with the royal flush draw. He's going to go ahead and fire out 100. He's going to put some pressure on Sebastian, who I just don't know if he can call. I mean, he's gonna gamble here to try to hit that jack or the diamond. The 8 does nothing on the turn, so now we're gonna see some real poker be played. My man checks here, and now the decision is going to be on Danny Jack. Looks like he is going to continue his story, and he is putting in roughly half of his stack. So Sebastian's going to be looking at this. Okay, so now I can only hit the miracle jack. Can't be the jack of spades because it's potential that my opponent still has a flush draw. So he's thinking to himself, I've probably got 3 outs. 350 is going to be a little bit too expensive. He's going to make an excellent fold there. But back to your question or your statement, John. So that is going to be the downside of the Poker League with the 10-week dedication. Definitely don't blame me for wanting to not make that drive. But again, what they're trying to do is just get the 36 commitments to guarantee that prize pool. They do have ways set up to, if somebody is unable to show up, there is a sub policy that somebody can play for you. But I definitely don't blame you. 2 hours is definitely a full-time job, driving to and from 10 times a week. Or, excuse me, 10 times.
John, if you drove 2 hours here and back, won the tournaments, won your seat to the main event, and, won 4 or 5 million, would it be worth it then?
I would say probably.
I'm just saying.
So here we're going to see Danny Jack raise it to 25, get immediately 3-bet by AJ with the ace-queen off.
An hour of Louisville, I'd sign up, no doubt. Yeah, it's a sweet thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a tough commitment for anybody that's outside of the area.
Good flop for Danny here.
Yeah, Danny's going to feel a lot more confident because the majority of the hands that's going to be 3-betting against him are going to be just 2 overs, ace-kings, ace-queens, ace-jacks. And then, of course, you have the potential, over pairs.
Put it in, too.
And he is going to snap call thinking that his ace-queen is good. Maybe he was against some kind of combo draw.
They are running it twice, and looks like
he's going to need an ace or a queen, and that's it.
He's reaching for rebuys. Yep.
It's like 2 10s in a row, but I can't tell.
Yeah, either way, he did not hit. Dan wins both runouts.
Yep.
AJ is rebuying. Good hand there by Dan, recognizing the 6s were good after AJ checked back the flop. Just went ahead and put them all in on the turn. Said no more free cards.
Yeah. I got $100. I think I might go hop in this game. I wonder if they'll let me in with $100. $109.
Come on, everyone. Send some tips so me and Tom can jump in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I played a little bit earlier. Got handled.
No, I did good earlier. The game, my game was phenomenal here at Club Jack earlier. 1-2, no limit. I mean, off the chain the game was.
Well, it's like I wanted to play, but I would go sit down, and then I'd have to come work in here for a minute, try to get it up and running, try to do some updates, and then it told me it would be a few minutes, so I went back and played like 2 hands. So I was like at the table for 3 hours, and I think I only played 15 hands, maybe. Got hit by a set on one of those, so oh well.
Captain Farley. Danny is a tough player. We go back 12 years when I first started. He ran a club up here. Is that
Okay.
Chicago? Yeah,
Chi-town?
Dan, obviously. Dan's definitely a player.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be in Chicago in about 5 days.
Oh, I'm jealous. Pizza.
I'm not.
It's going to be a little chilly. But
It's going to be chilly. I got to go up there to get my passports. So automatically I'm spending $600 on those.
are you driving up?
Yeah, I looked at round trip airfare and it was like $550 a person.
Yeah, that's not a bit. It's easy
But
to drive.
it's only 5.5 hours to drive, but it's just such last minute that the plane tickets are outrageous. I guess they think some fool is going to pay $550.
Captain Farley, I got to ask you my go-to Chicago question. Go-to pizza joint in Chicago.
Preferably in the
No.
downtown Chicago area.
Oh, Tom. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah.
No, I just want your best one, period. But you can do downtown, too.
Yeah, so you can give Mitch your overall opinion on the best pizza, and then you can give me your overall best within a few block radius of the former Sears, now Willis Tower. Somewhere maybe near the Navy Pier. Because I definitely want to get some pizza while I'm there.
Yeah, you better. Rodney turns a king. Flush draw and a 7 for Sebastian. The tight mic, we don't know. Xandar. Absolutely, he got a gutter. And no one's putting any money in. Oh, yeah, there they go. $150 bets, looks like.
Yeah, about $1.50 here. Sebastian. It's a tough call. I think
Pair of
that
flush
based on the
draws.
action, a majority of the time that you're probably just going to be against a king, maybe two pair.
Yeah, he's unfortunately sharing the jack with Rodney.
Yeah.
He does not want to see a jack.
No.
7 or a club.
Yeah, 7 of the club is the only thing he's going to feel real comfortable about. Let's see what
And
this
these are
river
the
is
exact.
here.
So
Queen.
yeah, the big hand I won earlier. I won about a $1,000 pot earlier. It was the exact same scenario.
I
I
knew
had-
100% that dude had hearts.
I had turned
Top 2.
top 2, and you were the other. And then the other guy had a pair and a flush draw, just like Sebastian had. We were sharing the queen.
He was drawing to
however,
a heart.
and he hits his offsuit 3 and shoves all in because he made 2 pair on the river and thought that he rivered me, and he got the bad news.
That's actually precisely what I thought he had, was like some kind of pair. I didn't think he had 2 pair on the river, but to me it felt like a straight value bluff, basically. Like, I didn't think he was good on that river when he went all in. I had a feeling he was going to go all in, and he did that, and you snapped him.
I did. Had to.
It felt like, to me, it was just a pair with a flush draw.
Yeah, I mean, I bet 200 on into 150 on the turn.
But he was thinking that his miracle 2 pair on the river was good.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what physically it looked like, because it looked like he was pretty confident in his hand. But, like, I knew he had a flush draw. At least, I mean, I don't want to say I knew that. Like, I was pretty sure he had a flush draw. And he was pretty confident in it. So, generally, if that's the case, you can be pretty sure that your opponent probably has a pair and flush draw, maybe hit 2 pair on the river. But once you have king, queen, I was like, dude, if you fold this, you better not ever fold this. Because I was standing right over Mitch watching his hand. And
I was never going to fold it.
well, I didn't think you were going to fold. But there was a half a second there that I thought.
Well, I said, how much is it? And
Yeah.
then I said, oh, it doesn't
That was the
matter.
half a second. And then,
Well, I didn't think about it because I mean,
well, you're going to think.
there was only.
It wasn't
Like
much.
he had
It
to-
wasn't much.
It was like 300, but it
I was going to say 253.
Yeah, no, it wasn't about that. It was about, I mean, like I said, when I called, I knew it was hard, so I was hoping it wasn't like the gut shot and the flush draw that got
That was gonna be the one combo that you didn't want to see, but luckily there's only one combination of that.
Captain Furley says if you like deep dash Pequods, but it's not downtown, but not far from when you are up there, I'll take you there. If not, then Illuminati's is also deep there. And Illuminati's is phenomenal.
Oh, that's a cool name, Lou.
Yeah, if you've never had Illuminati's, have Illuminati's.
You've had that?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's have you ever like Giordano's is my favorite, but Lou, if I lived in Chicago, I'd go back and forth between that and Lou. Lou's has got the same kind of. Have you had Giordano's before?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. It's the thick was in Vegas too. It's out in front of Bally's in Vegas.
Okay.
But anyways, but Lou's has a way better crust.
So it looks like Lou's here has quite a few locations there.
Oh, they do. They're a big chain. Lou's, Gino's East, and Giordano's are like the three what they're known for.
So
But then there's a lot of mom and pop shops that have that style of pizza too.
Did he say what the street was?
You don't. I mean, it'll be somewhere. You'll always do. I've had Lou's. I drove into downtown all the time to get it when I go to Hammond, Indiana to play.
Oh, actually, this might be.
There's one in. No, there's the Giordano's in Indianapolis. Never mind. But absolutely, I mean, it is just. Yeah, excuse me. Late.
Yeah, there's Giordano's there on New East Side.
Giordano's is fire too. Giordano's is a little bit thicker than Lou's, but
I'm trying to find it in comparison to the Sears /
where y'all staying?
Willis Towers. I'm looking at a hotel that's basically kind of downtown, so like right in this area.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find
Like
all
here's
those
the
down
Navy
there.
Pier.
You'll find, I'm sure, Gino's East. Gino's East is good from what I remember. But Giordano's, like I said, Giordano's is my favorite. It's like the thicker, more cheesy. But Lou's has got the way better crust.
Okay, so this one is a little bit further than, because the building I have to go to is like right here. This is the Sears Tower. And then this is where that pizza place is. So let's check the other one.
Gino's East is very good too. He said, yeah, Gino's was good. I've only had Gino's once at Gino's, and I mean, I liked it a lot from what I remember.
Okay,
I mean,
so
you
this
can't go wrong with any of them.
Illuminati's is only a
Chicago
couple of
style
blocks
pizza.
away from the Navy Pier. Let's try this one here. South State. That's a little bit too far south.
Gino, that's thin though. Gino's East was not thin. It was the deep dish. The one I had.
Okay, so they're all.
I know
over
they
the place.
have both, but
All right.
because actually, like Chicago residents actually they like the thin square cut pizza.
I don't know if you answered it here. I do see a question here in the chat from Smallin. $600 tournament in February. Is that card player tournament or Club Jack? That is the card player poker tour.
Yes.
So we are offering a sponsored tournament, card player poker tour, the CPPT. Again, that's a $200K guarantee, $600 buy-in. We are just hosting someone else's tournament. Again, currently set to be the largest poker tournament series in the state of Kentucky's history at $200,000 guarantee. It won't be the largest buy-in because I do believe there has been some 1K charitable events from time to time here in the state. But again, when you're playing in the charity events, a huge portion of that is going to go towards the charitable event. Not that that's a bad thing. That's why most people play in them, to help out those in need. Here, we are more greedy. We want all the money. Well, it's not like we keep it. It goes to the prize pool. But no money comes out of the prize pool outside of, I guess, the tournament fees, which would be listed in the fine print on our website. So any kind of information you need. Yeah, so I'm assuming that you're looking at the Card Player Poker Tour website. It has not been updated on there because we are still awaiting approval to expand our location. Currently, we're at 165 Outer Loop. That's 40214 here in Louisville, Kentucky. We are on the far east end of the building, which is a relatively small space currently. We've got about 10 tables. 11 tables. Yeah, so we've got 11 tables in here. It's not a tiny space, but they are currently working on acquiring our next door neighbors, and they are planning on tearing out that wall and creating at least 25, 30 table plus poker space. And to my knowledge, we are still awaiting the approval of that. I believe it's currently in the works. It looks like it's been greenlit. Looks like it's going to happen. So I think they were really waiting to make sure that got verified before anything happened. Because otherwise, if we wouldn't have had this space, we would have probably had to add additional starting days to meet the 200K guarantee. Because if we only have 11 tables, even if we max out at 10 players per table, you're looking at 110 players. And, if we start doing math after you take the dealer fee or the administrative fee from the buy-in, which isn't much, but we would be nowhere near that mark. So, to my knowledge, you should be seeing that calendar get updated in probably the next couple of weeks. But stick with us at clubjackpoker.net. The best way to get all the up-to-date information would be to follow our Facebook group. Danny Jack and everybody else that runs that Facebook group is basically on there 24/7. So if you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to shoot a message or to leave a comment on one of the posts, and they'll be able to get back to you. I've never really seen anybody go longer than 5-10 minutes without being answered. So leave them a message here. I'd really like to see Mike raise it up here, but he's just going to call it. It's going to allow Roger on the button with threes. Everybody with a pretty decent hand except for Danny, and he was the one that raised. Flop comes out ace high, 2 spades. Nobody with spades. Nobody with an ace.
Open, no.
Xandar, the best hand with the 9s. 7 on the turn.
Trips for Tight Mike.
Tight Mike does take the lead. A sneaky 7. Xandar is hoping his 9s are good. Is going to bet out. And this is where Mike, I think, should raise. Because there's a lot of combinations out there now. A lot of heart draws. A lot of spade draws. Last thing you want to do is give your opponent a chance to catch up. So Xandar is going to think better of it. He's going to make a good fold there. It's very unlikely that his 9s are ever going to be good in that situation. Typically, your opponents are going to be calling in late position with even hands like ace-3 of spades. Ace-3 of spades would make that bet. Of course, any trips are going to make that bet. Any better aces. So he thinks better of it, makes a good fold. Looks like we got some sugar sticks being opened up. My man's. Let's see how he eats the stick here. It looks like he was just going to go straight
to the dome.
Straight to the dome piece. No questions asked. He's going to
sugar rush.
One straight shot. Take that down. So it looks like we're going to get Danny Jack raising it up with the Ace-King offsuit. Sebastian's going to try to chase him down with the 4-5 offsuit. Eating the sugar, getting a sugar rush, going to try to outflop him. He does the exact opposite of that. Danny is going to fire out. Realize that he is not going to get any more money, but if he asks nicely, he might be able to get one of those little sugar sticks. He can suck on that. No pun intended. Looks like we have a $1 straddle on the button. It's got to be inaccurate. I guess there's probably money under that, but it should only be 5 or 10. But it is a 1-2 game, so a lot of times in 1-2 games, you'll see, okay, it looks like there's actually more than one chip on there. Looks like they were just stacked up. Looks like it's probably $10. Just a word about etiquette and straddles. If you're in a 1-2 game, and you straddle for $6, $7, $8, it's not a huge deal because there are whites on the table, the whites being dollar chips. So you can get away with that. However, you're making the dealer do a lot of extra work if because now the dealer is going to have to give change to all these people. So if it was not that he did that, but if it was an $8 straddle, for example, now you'd have to go and give all these players $2. The one extremely poor etiquette thing that you never want to do, though, is if you're playing a 5-5 game and then you straddle for $12, $13, because then there's never going to be any whites on the table and you're just slowing down the game at that point. So just food for thought.
That is spoken from a dealer, because I could not disagree more. If you want to straddle $8 in a 1-2 game, please do.
No, that's what I'm saying. In a 1-2 game,
You're not even allowed in 5-5
it's okay.
to do 12.
Well, for sure, there's people that do it all the time.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
It's not supposed to be allowed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not.
But when the game is 5-5 and dude says, I want to straddle for 11, it's frowned upon. But it's not necessarily illegal because it is a legal raise. But the thing that dealers hate, and it's not so much that dealers hate it, because look, we're here to do a job, but it just slows down the game when you do things like that. Not that he did that. I'm not trying to say that the player just did that at all. It did look like he had $10 out there. It just looked a little confusing with the whites. It just slows down the game, and it's just very frustrating for a dealer. Because as a dealer, you're just trying to deal a clean, quick game. You want to be able to, follow the action, keep it flowing. And if you're constantly making change, another thing that really bites at me, it happened a lot in the free roll, and I know a lot of the free roll players don't play too often, but if you have the change to go ahead and put out your proper blind, just go ahead and do that. A lot of the times people will just say, for example, the blinds were 2 and 400, and they would just throw a 1K out there, but they had 20 blacks, they had 10, 15 purples. It just slows down the game, so I never really like seeing that. But again, I'm a dealer. Had to deal with that for many, many years. Just a pet peeve of mine. So it looks like Sebastian with his queen on the turn is going to have the best hand going to the river, but is AJ going to get a little frisky and realize that his 6-4 is no good? And he is. He's going to fold. It's actually a really good spot for just a little bit of small raise. I think that small raise might have got through. A lot of hands get there. All the kings might have called you. The 10 jack gets there, which is a little bit less unlikely, but I think he might have been able to get away with a steal there. I kind of wish the cards weren't shown so we could just be guessing what they had the whole time.
We had that earlier.
As my man
he
continues
has
to
got
eat
the
his
sugar
sugar sticks.
sticks.
Yeah,
Now I want them.
he's on a sugar stick rush.
I think they're the green too, the watermelon, the sour watermelon.
Are those the sour ones?
I think so.
Oh man, I got some sour Skittles the other night. I forgot how sour they were.
They are. Those are.
So my girlfriend Savannah got them, and I don't really eat too much candy considering how large I am. I know it's surprising, but hard candies like that, like the Skittles, I just don't eat them very often. So I got a big old handful of them and put them in, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, they can be brutal.
So good though.
They are good.
It was good.
It's a good sour.
It
candy,
was just
but
really
it is.
sour.
My top sour candy is Sour Patch Kids.
Love some sour
And
Patch
then,
Kids. And then
what else we got here? He's doing. I'd probably put on. I used to love Shock Tarts. They don't make them anymore.
I was gonna say I haven't seen those in a long time.
Yeah, they got discontinued.
Those were the ones that look like the little caps or whatever, right?
They were blue.
Yeah.
They were fire.
I do remember those. So it looks like Sebastian here is going to get a little bit spicy with his backdoor flush
they
draw, and he is going to turn about as good as you could possibly turn without turning a pair. He is going to turn a gutter and a flush draw. So when your opponent checks here with the ace-10, I know it's scary, but you had aggression on the flop, and this would be the perfect spot to bet here.
All in.
And he has put him to the test, and this is a great bet. It's a little bit tougher here because Rodney does have open-ended. He's got the ace, but when your opponent bets the flop, now shoves the turn for over $200, he's generally going to be a little bit more nutted than where he's at, which is why this is a great play.
Earlier, when Sebastian shipped the dry ace, did he show it to the table?
You know, that's a good question. I don't believe.
I don't think he did either, which that could work to his benefit.
100%.
He has a pretty decent image going on. It doesn't look like he's got out of
It's
pocket
just
too often.
It's really tough for Rodney to fold here because, even if his opponent was to flip over two pair or a set, he's still got outs. He's just hoping his opponent doesn't have king 10, which he is currently blocking. So it's possible that his opponent has something along the lines of ace-2 of clubs, ace-10 clubs, or just, 10 by itself. He could easily have
trying to get some information. I think he has
queen
some 10
10,
twice.
9-10.
Yeah, there's a lot of hands you're just
A
ahead
lot
of
of,
with
lot of
ace-10
hands.
still,
A
but
lot of
it's-
hands. Yeah, I think we're going to see Rodney go ahead and make the crying call, realize that he's good, and he's just going to be trying to avoid two pair or the flush.
Oh, he's avoiding a 10.
Well, I'm saying that Rodney wants to avoid getting two pair.
Oh, he does fold it.
He makes a tight fold there.
Sebastian taps the table and says, "Good fold."
Yeah, good fold. Yeah, made you appreciate that fold,
I'm not
sir.
going to show you this bluff, and I'm going to go have another sugar.
Yeah, with the 10 blocker there, I mean, based on the action, you don't think your opponent has any of the sets, right? So obviously you're blocking aces, queens, and jacks probably would have been a little bit bigger of a pot. Possibly the small set there, but I think a majority of the time that I think you have enough equity to call there. I think most of the time you're going to be up against best case scenario, two pair.
Yep.
I guess worst case scenario, rather. Worst case scenario,
Yeah,
I think you're going to be up against two pair there and still have a good amount of drawing outs. So not a bad fold, but I just like to see people gamble personally. It's just that at that point, you're specifically putting your opponent on a certain set of cards. And I just don't like giving my opponent too much credit. So it looks like we're doing double board hold'em for the half hour hand. That's a first. Have y'all done that yet?
I have not seen it.
Okay, so normally they do PLOs for the dealer switches, which I don't know if our dealer's actually switching this time or not. But this is how they pay the time and tip the dealer. So it looks like what we're going to do here is play 2 boards of no limit hold'em. So the way, if anybody's unfamiliar, the way this game works here is you see 2 boards, which actually coincidentally is all red and all black. Let's see if we can maintain that. That would be cool. But half of the pot will be awarded to the best hand for the top, and the other half will be at the bottom.
Gold star comment, my friend. He said Thomas is a beast. Oh, my bad. I meant Thomas is obese.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I am on the larger side. Let's get a red one. Nice. Let's get a black one.
What are the odds? 50-50, I'd say.
They've got to be astronomical.
I mean,
Yes, I will say that I am on the larger side. Speaking of sides, when they got the Texas Roadhouse earlier, I got a lot of sides. I got extra serving of corn. I had 2 biscuits drizzled in cinnamon butter. And then I had some mashed potatoes and gravy, some steak tips, a little bit of mushrooms in there. Rather large, but I'm also large enough to where most people just don't say anything to me. So I'm still in an intimidating size. But once you get to know me, you just realize I'm just fluffy. Actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I'm pretty sure that Gabriel Iglesias has that trademarked. I'm actually not Gabriel Iglesias size. I'm more of the size of Rudy's buddy, Jon Favreau, in the movie Rudy. If you ever seen the movie Rudy, I look kind of like a bearded Jon Favreau in that movie.
and if you haven't seen the movie Rudy, go watch it.
If you haven't
Great
seen the
movie.
movie Rudy, I've seen Rudy. They used to make us watch that before every football game.
It's a good one.
And you know what was funny is we'd watch that, be inspired, go out,
Lose
hope to
by
play
60.
good, and lose by 60.
Yeah. We had a bad high school football team. I did not play on that team.
We were terrible. Honestly, it was just coaching. When you're dead set on running the ball on 3rd and 24 every time, we're just never going to win. So
Well, they never really had a quarterback that could throw it either. could
never
they?
had. Yeah, Corey, God love his soul,
He
was a
was
cool dude, but also at the same time he was getting destroyed in the pocket
Was he?
every time. Yeah.
That makes sense.
We had no offensive line. We had no receivers, no running backs, no quarterback. I played tight end. That was the only good position we had. Although my end was not very tight. Again, obese. I had a loose end, if you know what I'm saying.
What a good Rudy is such a good movie. Rudy, Remember the Titans is another get inspired to play a football game movie.
Yeah, Remember the Titans is great. I remember going to see that in theaters with our football team when it first came out.
Danny Jack.
Yeah, so it looks like AJ here thought he had pocket aces. Actually, it turned out he had 10-6 suited. He's going to try to get it all in against ace-king, which is going to be extremely difficult unless he hits this, and he needs a
give him
king
to-
to go with it. Nope.
He might run it
So
twice.
it looks like they're going to go twice, and that's actually not bad for him because he goes ahead and gets the ace out of there, gets a couple of hearts out of there as well. So he's going to be a little bit more favored on this, even though he does hit the king here. He's going to need the 10, the 6, or the spade. Can he do it? He does not. So unfortunately for him, he's going to lose both hands. Danny Jack's going to win a nice little pot there with ace king suited.
AJ quit? No, AJ's no quitter. AJ is good action.
Yeah, I guess he might have called it a night. We lost Walter. I guess we're losing AJ now unless he decides to rebuy. So what are we down to 6?
1, 2,
1,
3,
2,
4.
3, 4.
Six-handed. I like six-handed games though.
Yeah, it looks like we're 6-handed currently. Yeah, six-handed is going to be a lot more action. So for all of our viewers out there that are trying to take notes, maybe study the game a little bit, the fewer players that are in the hand, you're just going to want to increase your hand playing. So normally if you're playing 9-handed, on an extremely rare occasion you're playing 10-handed, you want to definitely tighten up your range a little bit because there's just going to be more combinations of cards out there. But when you start to lose players, and like right now we're down to 6-handed, you just simply can't afford to wait for premium hands, and you're just going to want to get in there and get a little bit spicy. Even in hands like this, we see Sebastian betting out the ace-9 and Rodney calling with the 4s, but this is typically a spot where Rodney's not necessarily going to think his 4s are good. He's just going to be trying to put himself in a position where he can win the hand on the river here. So I would be, I don't like this play here. So at this point, it is looking like Rodney was just hoping his 4s were good, but you've got to take some aggression there. If you're going to call the flop with 4s on a queen-high board with 2 diamonds, the diamond hits the turn, the jack hits the river, so now not only is the flush possible, but it puts a 4-card straight out there. You're going to want to put some aggression on your opponent, or otherwise you're just going to be bluffed out the whole time. So he's going to flip over his 4s and find out that he loses to an ace-9, and had he just sneezed on the pot and accidentally knocked some chips into the pot, his opponent would have folded. So just for future reference, just always be aggressive. That's how you win in Texas Hold'em. Being aggressive there, just one bet. If he bets $35 on the river, I just don't think he can get a call there. I think he takes it down with 4s. It's easier said than done, but again, your opponents can't see your cards. All he can see is, man, this guy's betting into me now. What does he have? Then it gets him thinking. That's what you want to do. You want to keep your opponents thinking. But nevertheless, we'll move on to the next hand, see what happens. So Danny Jack, going to go ahead and bump that up to a green bird. And looks like that is going to get the job done.
King 7 suited. That's a premium there for Mr. Jack.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets. King 7. Saw some crazy play earlier in the tournament. The little free roll, the daily free roll that they offered at 4 p.m. today. Somebody got a little crazy with King 7. Took down a monster pot. Again, for anybody interested in our free rolls, they offer free rolls every day here at Club JAQK. You can come visit us at 165 Outer Loop.
I think the free rolls are only the weekend now.
Is it only weekend now?
I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It used to be every day, but I think they moved them to the weekends and made them bigger.
Yeah, in either case, just keep up with clubjackpoker.net or its Facebook page.
Follow us.
Yeah, follow us and stay up to date with all that information. A lot of information has changed over the past couple of weeks. Simply, again, being a new startup company, they're trying to figure out the best ways to do things, best way for the players. So a lot of information is no longer up to date. Best way to do that is just, again, visit any of our social media platforms or visit us on clubjackpoker.net. But a lot of the free roll action is great action, as we see here. The king high board. Got Sebastian and Danny
got
Jack.
kings and a flush draw.
Yeah. So
handcuffed is Sebastian.
yeah, we're going to see a very difficult spot here for Sebastian. He's going to be praying for some kind of card to help him out on the river.
Got some chop outs. Deuce 7, chop it.
Yeah, so he's going to bet here, and I could easily see Danny Jack raise. But let's see what he does.
Yeah, I think he's going to put them all in. No, he just
No,
calls.
he's going to take the passive approach, just call, and hit the jack.
Improvement.
Yeah, so now there's just not many combinations that would have called him unless it's a 2-pair combination. But I still see him going ahead and bet and get snap calls.
Yeah,
so
that is the
good way
the
to
positive of just calling with Dan's hand on the turn.
Yeah, because again, it looks like a draw right there. Looks like a draw, and
Jack does not complete the draw.
And in Sebastian's mind, at least what I can kind of ascertain would be, okay, so he's just calling here. He's just calling on the turn. Now I check, and he's firing big on the river. that usually indicates to me personally that that's somebody that's just trying to buy that pot. So that was a really good play by Danny Jack there to go ahead and get value with his 2 pair. But what I was going to say about the free rolls is the free rolls, you can come, you just got to be a member to play. They offer $1,000 prize pools, $2,000 prize pools, always pretty juicy. But the player field is not very tough, so it's not going to be like the World Series of Poker. There's going to be a lot of people getting spicy with Queen 5 suiteds and King 7 suiteds, and pretty much anything that's suited, they will play it.
And they do also, they add seats for their nightly tournament after the free roll. And tonight, I saw just a second ago, the guy that won the free roll also wins a seat to the 7 o'clock tournament. He then parlayed that and won the 7 o'clock tournament. So he went from a free roll to winning like $1,500-$1,600 today.
Definitely the best path to take if you're trying to play cheap, get into multiple tournaments, make yourself some money. We're going to see 2 players with diamonds here. Rodney in the lead with the ace-10 of diamonds. Flop comes out king high, gives the gutter to Rodney. Second paired to tight Mike, who is going to take the lead. Now with the 10 on the turn, Rodney's going to turn a pair. Mike now has a gut shot. He's going to take a passive approach. Going to go ahead and check that. Play pot control. Now he's going to be in a tight spot here because he's most likely going to check here. And Rodney has the ability to put him in a tough spot, but he's not going to do that. He's just going to check. Tight Mike. Going to go ahead and flip over that best hand. Take down the pot. Again, if you have any kind of interest in wanting to play the live stream here at Club Jack, just shoot us a message on Facebook. You can play anytime you want.
Slide in those DMs.
Yeah, slide in the DMs. I've seen it done before. It works. Somebody will get a hold of you. But just put your name on the list and they'll get you signed up.
Roger's going to take a flight on American Airlines here.
Yeah, if it looks right, is it?
Raise?
Okay, he's pulling out more chips. I'm assuming he's already announced the raise, and we just haven't got what the total is.
He min-raised it. Tight mics. Can you sniff out the min-raise?
So pre-flop, it's always going to be almost impossible for him to fold to a min-raise. So he's going to be hoping that he does not flop any kind of pairs here, or he's going to be in a very, very difficult spot. Okay, so that's going to be about as safe for Mike as possible. It should go check here because, I mean, really Roger just doesn't want his opponents to fold out anything. But this is where Roger needs to bet.
Not too big, though.
You don't want to bet too big, but you want to definitely – there's most of your opponent's ranges are going to consist of jack queens, king queens.
Smaller pairs.
Small pairs, flush draws. And when your opponent has that much availability in his range, you're going to want to try to narrow that down a little bit. At least – bet something small, like Mitch said. You don't want to bet too crazy because obviously you have
you've got it pretty much
unbeatable hand. The only cards you just don't want to see is any heart, any jack, queen, king, or whatever it may have been for the straight. So he makes a smart play, bets a little bit. Mike thinks better of it and folds.
Yeah, and again, sometimes when you check that ace on the flop, you bet a little small on the turn, they start to think, man, maybe he's got 2 kings or 2 queens and I can blow him off on the river. Maybe he's scared of the ace.
And even we've seen it before where a player will turn, kind of like how he did, will turn just a little bit of equity, something that maybe gives them a gutter or something like that. And in your opponent's mind is, okay, well, he raised pre-flop, flop comes out ace high, and now he's checking. Maybe my opponent has a small pair. Maybe my opponent has king-queen offsuit, suited, doesn't really matter, but, 2 face cards of that nature. Maybe now I can take a stab at it and get my opponent to fold, and that's playing right into the trap that he was setting. So you don't always want to fire out, just, it's situation dependent, but definitely want to mix up your game. I do like slightly building that pot up a little bit like he did.
Do we got any Louisville, Kentucky fans in the chat? Big game tomorrow. Who do we got winning? I mean, Cats getting 7.5 is tempting.
It's at 7.5 right now. I originally said that it would open at 5.5, but that was before they lost to South Carolina.
It was at 8 at one point today, and then it's got bet back down already.
2 of my cousins graduated from the University of South Carolina, so I was pretty salty when we lost to them.
I could go to that game tomorrow. I've got great seats and everything, but I don't think where I'm going to go.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine giving away free seats.
It's going to be really cold.
Still going to be cold tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be like 40.
Wow.
Let's take a look, gander. By game time, yeah, 42, 44, 46.
Game
Decent.
time weather is 42.
It's at noon, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It is at noon, isn't it? I forgot all about that. I don't know why I was thinking it was a later game. So here we see Mike, who flopped 2 pair. He's going to go ahead and continue firing Xander. I'm going to call him Xander.
7.5.
and ER.
So I like plus 245 on the money line too. You can get 7.5 at even money.
There ain't no way
no
I'm betting that
juice.
game.
They are kind of begging you to bet on Kentucky. It looks like.
Speaking of betting, for anybody that's unfamiliar, I was made aware. If you download the Bet ESPN app and make any kind of bet within the next week, you get 4 $50 free bets. You don't need any kind of promo code. Of course, sports betting is legal here now in Kentucky. But if you're interested in getting some free bets, download the ESPN Bet app, make a deposit. I deposited $10. I put $10 last night on a team that was winning 32-16. It was the BYU versus Arizona State game, and I put BYU money line. So my $10 bet paid $11.32, but I got 4 $50 free bets.
I made when Bet365 and DraftKings, they were doing all those when they first. I made $800 something bucks the opening weekend, all free bets.
So just food for thought, anybody out there that was looking for some free money. It is available to you, but you got to make a good bet. Let's see what this flop is here. See if we get some action.
Nope.
10's not going to hate his hand, but he's not going to love it. Rodney is basically in the exact same boat. Xander, let's see what he decides to do. This would be a good spot for him to take a stab.
Everybody's hands is shrinking by the
Yeah,
minute.
essentially whoever bets first is going to win this hand, but it looks like everybody's playing kind of scared.
Oops.
And then that's why you want to bet that turn. Now all of a sudden the
Xander.
fives just come out of nowhere.
Poor Xander.
And Xander
He had the right idea.
is
Just
betting out 250
into 300.
Yeah, and I mean this is an extremely optimistic bet here, and he's going to find
Look
out
at
pretty
this.
quickly that
Oh my.
I just don't think that he can raise. I think this would be a terrible raise from Rodney personally.
Yeah, it's just a call.
Yeah, because there's too many
7,
6
ace
deuce,
deuces.
6 7 ace deuces, pocket
Oh,
queens, pocket kings.
He did raise it.
He did raise.
600.
Okay, yeah. So I think that I don't want to say it's terrible because the majority of the time it's probably going to be good. But when your opponent over bets the pot, unless you just have a dead soul read on this man, I just don't know if I like the raise. Because what do you do there if you get re-raised? You have to
Puke.
fold. I think you have to
Puke is
fold.
the correct answer. Yeah.
I think a majority of the time your opponent's going to flip over ace deuce suited.
Or 6,
6 7 suited, something in that range, and then just overbet it and make it look like a bluff. So,
Yeah.
not a terrible play, but again, that's why I advocated betting on the turn. So that way you don't even find yourself in that position. If 7-8 suited, or did he have 7-8? Was it 7-8?
That's what Xander had.
Yeah,
If
if
he would have
Xander
decided to
bets
bet
the
he
turn,
wins.
That's what I'm saying. He goes ahead and takes that down, and then he just doesn't lose that pot. Instead, we're basically just giving away a free 250 to our opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a safe card, but
I like the steal. It's not bad, but unfortunately,
it's mistimed.
it's just mistimed. And that's not his fault. It's just his opponent got lucky and hit the two-outer.
One straight late.
So here we go. So Danny Jack with top pair, little baby kicker. Xander with the flush draw. Looks like it went bet call.
Gut shot now for
Yeah,
Xander.
so Xander-
A 9B action.
Looks like he's taking the aggressive approach here. So it looks like Danny's just going to call here. We're going to go see the river, and he's going to hope to
Bink.
not see that spade. Danny should know here that he's dead.
Check, and he checked the flush back.
Okay, so now I'm confused on Xander's gameplay. So we're checking back flushes, but we're betting 250s. Bluffing.
Maybe
Little
he's maybe he's
confusing
a little
play
gun
there.
shy after.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but, I mean, you're sitting on 3.6K. You got a flush. Your opponent can only beat you with a full house combination of either aces, tens, fives, or one of the eights with one of the pairs. Not many combinations there. I'm going to fire out a Blackbird. That's just me personally. If I want to bet small, I'm going to fire a Blackbird. Because, again, I mean, if you get raised, you could fold there because you still lose the higher flushes. You still lose the higher full houses. But I think you're just losing value. Especially when the hand before we see you bet 250 with nothing. I think I want to see you bet something with something.
Agree. And you might just get looked up because you just
Exactly, yeah.
basically showed you were bluffing.
Exactly. So you just showed that you're, firing out 250 and getting snapped. Why not do it back to back and make it look, because it's going to be more or less likely that you have something there. It's just going to look like you're just trying to steal it at this point.
Ace for Roger.
Yeah, so not a whole lot going on here. We got a pair of eights, got a pair of aces, pair of sixes. We're going to see Roger fire out with the ace-3. It's going to be tough for him to get some action here. And he does not. I don't know if you can see it, but Mike is actually wearing an official Club Jack hat. We are
gear.
officially offering merchandise. If you are interested in our merchandise, we don't actually have a whole lot. I think we got some T-shirts and some hats. But you can look like a Club Jack Pro if you want.
Xander's switching seats. He's had enough. You just made a flush, buddy.
Yeah, you just made a flush and didn't try to get any money off of it. I don't think your seat's going to help you. That was the one thing, another pet peeve of mine as a dealer that always bothered me, were players constantly played musical chairs trying to find the right chair.
Lucky seat, baby.
The lucky seat. And I've told them multiple times, the seat doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the ass that sits in it. So you're either going to play good or you play bad. The last thing you want to do is become superstitious at the table and thinking that a chair is going to help you out. The only time that a chair should ever be an issue is who is in the seat next to you, right? So, for example, if the tightest player in the world is to your right, I wouldn't really want to be there, right? I want to be around somebody that is aggressive, and then I want to have position on that player. So I can see him maybe wanting to move to, what was his name again, in seat 5? Xandar moved seats to sit on the opposite end of him, because I think what was happening was Xandar was getting a little crazy, and my man here in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seat was basically just calling him a lot. So Rodney, that's right. Sorry, Rodney, forgot your name, my man. So I think what we're seeing here is our opponent wants to just have position on somebody that's going to make a lot of loose calls. But again, I mean, if you're making, crazy calls, crazy raises, maybe not being out of position is too bad. So it looks like, is this accurate? Mike with the 7-5 suited. See if we can hit another straight flush with 7-5 of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Mike raise here. Let's see if he plays it
Oh,
soft.
he will. No, he's raising.
Yeah,
I play
love
with
this
Mike
raise.
all the time. Mike loves suited connectors.
Yeah, I love this raise here. Again, when you're in early position and you bust up this raise here, people are just naturally going to assume that you're at kind of at the topper end of your range. And then when flops come out like this, you can easily represent them. Now, of course, all-in Bastion does in fact have an ace. Danny does have a queen. But they don't know that. Yeah. Unfortunately, what's going to happen here is Bastion with the $140, he's never going to fold.
Where did all his money go? He is going to fold. Don't know why you play an ace-9, flop an ace and fold it, but...
Did he change his name?
Yeah, Sebastian.
Oh, okay. So he went from Sebastian to all-in Bastion. And you should change your name to Fold Top Pair Bastion because, I'm sorry, my man, if you're playing the ace-9 offsuit to an early position raise and you flop the ace and you're extremely short stacked, you should never be ready to fold. Because look, wow, Danny Jack with the Miracle 10 on the river. Yeah, and see, that's what's going to happen here is your opponents behind you have worse hands and are getting their money in. So, unfortunately for Mike, he's just going to check and get instantly bet at, and he's just going to have to fold his hand. No, he's going to take a stab, though. He's thinking about it. And
he said, all in, Mike, and snap fold, Mike.
Danny's thinking about it, and there is nothing that he loses to. So he's going to think about it. You can see it on Mike. Look, he's just like, please fold, please fold, please fold. And then Danny's going to go, no, I'm good. I'm going to go all in. Mike's just going to snap fold that.
Yeah, Mike did turn a flush draw, so that's why he continued
betting. Yeah, absolutely.
Because,
well, again, it's just the image, right? So he is...
He gave him 100 back.
I let him pull it back.
Oh, he just showed him a queen. That's why. That was actually very nice of Dan.
Yeah, so again, what we were talking about was...
No, he raised it, Dan. He bet two... No, what the heck was that?
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there.
It looked like he bet 400 and
then took some money back. Well, either way, Danny's going to end up with the best hand there. But when Tight Mike opens an early position and then he fires a pretty stout bet. I think he fired $80 on that flop. And then you come out and you turn the clubs. It's just the perfect opportunity to go ahead and continue that. Was that one of these? Okay.
I'm going to be like 15 minutes probably.
Yeah.
Let's go, Rodney. That's my homie. Says Todd Rogers. What's up, Todd? And Rodney's playing very well.
Todd Rogers. Let's go, Rodney. That's my homie. That's our homie, too, even though we didn't know his name. Definitely getting in there and spicing things up with some hands. It's good action.
What an interest. That back to that Sebastian hand, though. I mean, he's shown the willingness. He bluffed the dry ace. And
That's confusing.
He bluffed that other hand, the gutter and the king high flush draw on the turn. And now he called a raise with flop top pair and just lets it go.
Yeah, I can understand putting your opponent on a higher ace. But the whole reason that you play ace-9 offsuit shouldn't be to flop aces full of nines or to flop ace-9. It's typically that you don't believe your opponent has the ace and you're trying to hit that over on them. So when the flop comes out favorable for you and you have almost no money left, you just need to keep your fingers crossed that you did, in fact, have the best hand and go in on that flop. I don't want to go too hard at him because I was trying to get some of those little sugar sticks that he had.
We got two flush draws and an open-ended here.
Oh, yeah, this is a good action turn here. So let's see this ace of hearts one time, I guess is what we want to see. Ace of hearts would be the best card. What's the chances of that? We hit a 1 hour before. Going to be the jack of spades.
Some pairs.
Yeah, so it's going to give these guys a little bit more equity in their eyes. You know, Tight Mike. Tight Mike's got a pair now with the flush draw.
There's our guy.
And now all-in Bastion decides to get it all in with 9 high. And this is what's so confusing about players is
Well, he's got all in with. I mean, he's got open ended and a flush draw and $70.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but you don't think somebody has like the king deuce of spades,
That's
or
all right.
the
I mean,
king
but you
deuce
can't
of
ever fold
hearts?
your hand.
You would never fold, but I would also say that about ace nine when I flopped an ace,
True.
and I'm three ways, and I've only got like $100 left. I mean, it's just very confusing play, but
Yeah, let's watch
maybe
the
he had
rest of this.
maybe he had some ulterior motives there. Pot gets splashed a little bit here.
Heart would be
Yeah, the ace of hearts
devastating
would be interesting.
for Sebastian here.
And no, it's going to pair the
King
board.
Jack, Roger
King
Dodger.
Jack's gonna win it.
Jackson.
Mike's like, my 5 doesn't play.
You know what's interesting too about that hand about old Bastion? I don't want to keep harping on it, but just poker in general, why it's funny. Mike bets 80. If Sebastian Snap puts in his 160, Dan very well could fold that queen behind and he doesn't end up running down.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, where Mike ends up blowing another 400 or 500 in the hand because he, turns a flush draw, and it's just funny how the things can change.
So it does look like here, it sounds like we only have 8 minutes left on our live stream. Again, do apologize that we got started so late. It is currently 12 a.m. here locally, Eastern Standard Time. We are going to try to get all these kinks worked out for you. Again, it definitely feel like we let everybody down with the stream tonight and last week as well. Weren't able to get it up and going. Luckily, we were able to salvage somewhat tonight. But thanks, everybody, so much for hanging out with us. We'll get these last couple of hands in here before we let y'all go. But thanks for bearing with us and staying true to the stream, wanting to get this action in. Definitely want to be able to provide you all with a much better product, at least one that's 100%. So thanks again so much.
Tweety Bird Express, yo, what up, Tweety Bird? Todd Rogers, why doesn't Club Jack play regular bomb pots? I believe that I think they will. They are allowed to. I think it's just kind of every game has to agree to it, I think is the...
Yeah, it would have to be universally agreed upon on the game, because otherwise,
Yeah,
to
the
my
other day,
knowledge,
they were playing PLO the other night. They ended the game on like 20 bomb pots.
Really?
Yeah.
So to my knowledge, as long as you all have a game that y'all are willing to play, they're going to host it for you.
Mm-hmm. The whole table agrees. Hey, every dealer change, you guys want to do a bomb pot or something, they're cool with it, I'm pretty sure. As long as the whole table's in agreement. You could always cut deals too, you could always tell, hey, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. If you got like most of the table that wants to do it, and let that person just sit out of hand.
Here we go.
Yeah.
No, you're good. It should only be like 7 minutes left. Maybe 5 at this point.
8 minutes, bummer. I know, Tweety
Yeah,
Bird,
so-
trust us. We went 2 hours. We got 2 hours into almost hour and a half or so, and we had the roughest of rough times tonight. And
Brian?
Bryson Cox, yeah, I do know. Patrick Lawson won, and he also won the free roll tournament. He won the free roll tournament, won his seat to the bounty tournament, and then shipped the bounty tournament to Big Boy. You got competition, buddy.
Yeah.
Patrick Lawson hits on us. So he turned a free roll into like $1,500-$1,600.
Pretty nice day. Pretty
Nice day's
And
work.
again, you all can do that as well. You just got to be a member here at Club Jack. We
That's
have
right.
all sorts of membership options for you. You can find all of those at clubjackpoker.net. Because I do believe that they did recently change. I didn't get the update, but it was 13 a day.
Memberships? Yeah.
Yeah, they did go up. They recently changed them. They were often a promo for the first month or so, but I believe it's $13 a day for the daily.
30 a month.
30 a month. Still, is it still 30 a month?
I think. I'm
and
not
then
100%.
$240 for the year. Again, sorry, we don't have all the most up-to-date information. Be sure to visit clubjackpoker.net. They have all of that information as well.
I think Xander banked the open-ended on the river. Yep, he slides it back in his stack. I think it's a 8 on the river. Dan Snap called him with a 6.
It had to have been a 3.
3 or an 8, yeah.
I doubt he called that quickly with an 8. I guess we'll just never know.
It was 8 of hearts.
Oh, was it 8 of hearts? Okay. Oh, I see it, yeah. Yeah, so it looks like he made a little bit of a loose call there, just hoping his opponent was trying to steal. Just what you'll notice is in a lot of these games, I know, Mitch, you can concur to this, but a lot of these games, when they know they're getting ready to wind down, loosen up drastically. And these guys try to get their gamble on. And it's very rare that I see. What you'll notice is most of the tight players have already left the table. And the gamblers that are trying to get it in real quick are usually the ones left behind trying to get every last hand that they can.
Oh, yeah. They start flipping. They start doing. What do you guys want?
I tell you what, I used to love being a dealer, and when the games were starting to close down, it just nothing. I mean, that's like a rainbow for a dealer. The pots are just inflated way beyond what they need to be. So let's see here. Got the lovely 6-7 suited, raising it up to 35. Looks like we got 2 callers.
Both of them make a 6.
So we got 3 players. Yeah, got some 6s in there. Xander, the ace-8, would probably be a good spot to go ahead and start representing some kind of overcards, maybe some straight draws. Instead, we're just checking it down all the way and trying to go to showdown. So this is where, again, take note. If anybody shows any kind of aggression, you see that little pot there in the middle, it becomes yours. You don't want to be the guy that's just calling pre-flop and then just trying to get lucky. Start telling a story. So it looks like we might have lost our tracker already.
Yeah, it's getting ready. We know it's getting ready to end here shortly, guys. And once again, mad apologies for the technical difficulties earlier, but we did get it worked out at least, and we got to stream some of the game tonight.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Definitely some hiccups that we didn't experience, but again, as a startup company, we tried to come out and provide something that's just not available here in Kentucky, and there was some hiccups, but rest assured they're going to get those worked out, and we're going to be back to providing you all with the ultimate poker experience here in the state of Kentucky. So as we wind down, we'll take a couple of looks at these hands, see if anybody catches anything, see if we can get a last-minute monster. Roger with the 9-8 suited says no thanks. He's going to lock up his win. Get a limp from Xander. Terrible limp with the 7-2. You got to raise that, my man.
Like Danny does with the JAQK.
Yes. If you want a piece of advice, if you want to become a successful poker player, never limp. Ever. I really can't think of any situation that I would limp. Not one. Outside of, like, an open limp is different, right? So, like, if you're open limping, that's terrible. But if somebody limps before you and then somebody else limps in, limping in right there isn't too bad, because every extra limp is increasing your odds for the pot. But you never want to open limp. You always want to be coming in firing out. So, say for example, you're under the gun. Normally you fold most of these hands, but you got the 5-6 suited, and you're playing 1-2 no limit hold'em. Instead of limping in for $2 with that suited connector, just make it $5. Just make that hand $5. And people, again, in their mind he raised pre-flop, right? So a lot of the times their head is just going to go straight to, this guy's got a monster, or at least an above average hand. So let's see here. It looks like this might be the last hand here. Danny Jack's really wanting to get in there. I doubt he folds. He does not. So we're gonna go. Looks like the final
Roger.
two hands. I
They
think
just
what
got-
they're
I think
gonna
they'll
do
run
is
it
just
out.
gonna run it out for the set amount here. Danny Jack's gonna try to get
Whoops.
lucky,
And he's drawn dead.
and he's gonna need a miracle runner, which does not happen. It looks like he's gonna be one club shy of hitting runner flush. So looks like he's gonna take down that pot. No, I thought he said that. I thought it was gonna be the last hand, but I guess they're going one more. So let's see what happens here. We gotta look at the numbers. Can we pull up the stacks real quick
Sure.
before this hand gets underway? Just to take a quick look. It'll probably only be up there for a second. But Rodney's sitting at right at 5K. Xandar 3.7. Danny Jack 2.2. Roger 1.4. Tight Mike at 561. Mike is really going to regret that big hand.
Dan's got aces last hand.
So if this is the last hand, this is a
Rodney.
great.
Oh my.
Yeah, this is a great spot for Danny just to act crazy, right? Because with the aces, most of the time they're just never going to put you on that, and he does exactly that. So we had a raise. Rodney went ahead and 3-bet it, and now Danny has 4-bet it, which I absolutely love. Because most of the time, Rodney's not going to put him on a hand. He's probably going to put him on some kind of...
No, he just put in 75 with 8-5 offsuit to
Yeah.
run it out. He looks like he's splashing.
Yeah, looks like he's splashing. That's why it's a
And they're
great
deep.
spot. Yeah,
They're
super
deep, these
deep.
two.
So Rodney's going to pray that an ace doesn't come out,
Ace
let
jack
alone
would be-
ace jack deuce.
Don't do it to our guy Rodney.
Yeah. So who's Todd Rogers rooting for Rodney? So Todd, pray for no ace.
No jack high flop, no ace
Yeah,
jack
no
flop.
jack high flop because.
He's got
Oh,
a
see,
gutter
so
ball.
this is actually pretty spicy here. So Rodney is going to 100% continue here. You're never, well, I don't want to say never going to fold here. Most of the time, you're never folding here. It's at least worth one peel to try to hit the queen, and he hits
Lord
the
have
queen.
Mercy. And Andy's got the ace of diamonds. He
Yeah,
just
so
turns him dead.
Danny hates it because he doesn't have that diamond. But man, Rodney is running good. Let's see what
I think
happens
they
here. On
decided
this.
they're.
Is it just they're just going to run it
I
out
think
and
they
see
put
what it
100
is?
No, nope. 100 more. They're playing fun, nice. Bad beat for Danny.
That is terrible. Yeah, Danny hates to see that.
What a great hand to end it on.
Absolutely.
Danny
I
gets
was-
his aces cracked.
I
What a
was
great
waiting.
hand.
I was waiting to see some action, so I was glad to see that we get aces cracked on the last night. No offense, Danny. It's just
Hey, it is what it is.
it is what it is. Because I'm never folding that gutter there when I try, called pre and I'm trying to hit something. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the ace nine, right? So like if I have the ace jack there and I'm in position, I'm never folding there just to try to hit the gutter. Like if I have top pair and I'm short stacked again, we gotta show some aggression. We gotta not be so scared and get it all in.
I think that's it, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they are wrapping it up here, so we are gonna wrap it up in here. Again, we do apologize for the inconvenience of the stream. Gonna try to get these kinks worked out. The plan is still to offer a stream tomorrow. Probably gonna come in early, see if we can get that going. But for those that stayed with us tonight, looks like our viewership was down, but we did lose a lot of people early on. Just again, we got started. I think we got started like 2 hours late, almost an hour and
Yeah,
45 minutes or something.
Way longer than that, like 3 hours.
Was it
late.
3 hours?
3 or 4
Yeah.
hours
So
late,
we're gonna do our best to come back here tomorrow and show you all a little bit better of our product. But again, thanks for joining us.
Yep, still good times. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Again, my name's Tom.
I'm Mitch, and this is Club. Here we are at Club Jack, and